What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're taking a look at a few RPGs that two of them have little to no information that have already been revealed, but a lot of you guys ask about them all the time with Dragon Quest III HD-2D Remake and Dragon Quest XII, in addition to Decapolice, which has a lot of information but still has no release date, and it's supposedly releasing in 2023, so we will discuss all of that. Before we get into it, guys, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my Nintendo Switch and RPG videos first. Now let's go ahead and jump right into the first game, and that is Dragon Quest III HD-2D Remake. Now, little is known about this. We got one trailer for this game released quite some time ago, and Square Enix has went radio silent. Now, they did have a number of big games in between that, like Octopath Traveler 2 and Final Fantasy 16. Plus, we have the upcoming Final Fantasy 7 Remake Rebirth. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that's going on here with Square Enix. Plus, there's been Dragon Quest Treasures. There's been a new Dragon Quest Monsters game coming out. They've just unloaded with other Dragon Quest in addition to Final Fantasy games since this title was revealed, but we've gotten nothing on this game. Now, if you go on the official product information page from Square Enix, because you know we like to do things official here, it just pretty much says the title is going to be Dragon Quest III HD-2D Remake. The release date is TBA, which is to be decided. The genre is RPG, of course, and the brand is Dragon Quest. It's right there in the name. Now, they also state, in the latest visual iteration of Dragon Quest III, longtime fans and newcomers will be invited to experience this HD-2D version of Dragon Quest III that provides a unique three-dimensional feel by adding 3D effects to pixel-based backgrounds. Dragon Quest III HD-2D Remake is planned for release on console. Now, they didn't state what consoles it will be, but it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that it's going to be the Nintendo Switch, because pretty much every single HD-2D game from Square Enix is on the Nintendo Switch, with the Switch version most of the time being the lead platform or released on first, and that's where most people do pick up the game. Going all the way back to the original Octopath, Live Alive, Octopath Traveler 2, there's already been a number of them. Switch is pretty much the platform that people like to buy these games on. And of course, in Japan with Dragon Quest, which is a huge brand in Japan, and of course getting much bigger here in the West with the release of Dragon Quest XI, that did incredible in the Western territories. Dragon Quest has become a worldwide brand, but a lot of people do associate it with playing it on Nintendo platforms. Now, the thing about this, guys, is that we have a couple different events that we're going to be discussing where we could see more about this game, and that's definitely going to be Tokyo Game Show. I do think that Square Enix has something in line for Tokyo Game Show with this. I would be surprised if it wasn't. Now, they could have their own Dragon Quest themed event, which they've done before in the past, where they revealed a bunch of cool stuff, talked about release dates, given us new information, new trailers. So the Dragon Quest brand is big enough for its own themed direct based on all things Dragon Quest. So that could absolutely happen. We have to just wait and see on that. Or there could be a Nintendo Direct where they talk more about Dragon Quest III HD-2D Remake, because once again, like I talked about, Dragon Quest and the Nintendo brand is kind of synonymous together, and of course the Nintendo Switch is just killing it in Japan right now, and so that might be a good place to re-reveal the game, get it in front of more people, and show off the information to have maximum exposure, because I'm guessing that Square Enix is thinking this will be the best HD-2D game in terms of sales wise and review score wise too. It might be a 90+ rated game with over 3-4 million units in sales, maybe even more than that. So I do think that they are prepping it for the best game that it can be. It took a while for Octopath Traveler 2 to come out, and that game was awesome, but I think that this game has even bigger expectations because it's Dragon Quest and not some type of new IP for Square Enix. So we'll probably see more information coming up either at the Nintendo Direct or Tokyo Game Show, which is late September, and we could see what's going on with the game. Now, next up is Dragon Quest XII, The Flames of Fate. Now, this is a very interesting title because we've seen essentially nothing on this game. Really, there's been nothing. We have that one original CG title trailer, and that is it. But we do have a bit more information based off of what they've said with the game, but I want to break down what this game is at its core and what they're aiming to do based off the little information that we did get. Now, shout outs to the Dragon Quest wiki where this information is coming from, and they state that Dragon Quest XII Flames of Fate is the 12th main Dragon Quest series game. The game was announced on May 27, 2021, so we're going 2+ years now. The 35th anniversary of the Dragon Quest series in a YouTube live stream. The game is planned to have a simultaneous worldwide release, though no specific date was given. The platforms the game will be released on have not been disclosed, and no gameplay footage has been released. Very little is known about the game. However, Yuji Horii stated that the game will be much darker and adult themed, will put more focus on decision making, and have a revamped combat system, though specific details were not given. In September of 2021, an exploit in the NVIDIA's GeForce Now service revealed a PC release to be in development. So there is a little bit of information there, and I want to go over a couple different things that I've heard about this. Now, there was some situations with the game. Apparently, development was a bit rocky. They were trying to find more people to help out with this game. They've been doing recruiting. They've been trying to get this game up to snuff because obviously they're working with more powerful systems. They're working with newer technology, and they're changing the tone and the themes of the game. Darker, more adult themed, decision making. That means you're going to have to put more into this game. Decision making. Well, if you go one way or another, it's not linear. You have to figure out all the different paths that someone can go and what it does. But you also have to make it meaningful as well and make it make sense for each path so it feels rewarding for players, so they feel a certain way. So I think that if you combine that with the rising cost of development, with how much pressure the Dragon Quest team usually has in order to make a high quality game, I can see why this is taking a lot longer, and they don't want to show the game until it's absolutely ready to be shown. Now, the combat system changes. Revamped combat. People are saying that it might go action RPG. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to go action RPG. I think it's going to be a turn-based system. However, I do think that they are going to implement an ATB system, active time battle, where you are going to be able to do maybe multiple actions and you have cooldowns and different things. Still going to be turn-based, but they kind of spice it up a little bit to the point where you're just not sitting there and then you pick something, then they do it, and then it's the next person. So I think they want a little bit more interactivity with the combat. I also think that you're going to be able to switch characters on the fly. I think that that's something that if you have ATB plus switching characters on the fly, you create a dynamic battle experience that will feel like an action RPG, but not actually be an action RPG. So I think that's what they're going for, and they want to make sure that they have a game when it comes to the story that is very emotional and impactful. And I think that the darker adult themed is also going to translate into the music as well. And I know some of you guys love Dragon Quest music, but I'll be honest, I do not like Dragon Quest music. And I know for those who have watched my live streams, I've said this a million times, and in my reviews for Dragon Quest games, I just don't like the music. So I do think that this is going to change up the style and tone of the music for the better, in my opinion. So we'll see how this works out. We've had multiple decades of Dragon Quest games being a certain way, having a certain tone, certain art style, certain things. I think that it's okay to mix things up and have something a little bit different. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You can always go back to what you did before or try something different once again. But a lot is riding on this Dragon Quest game, as it's going to be a very expensive game to develop, and it's something that fans are looking forward to it because Dragon Quest XI sold incredibly well. So if you go away from what worked and you don't sell well, that's going to be a problem for Square Enix. And I do think that this game, I know this is not necessarily completely related because there's been no systems that's been revealed, but I think that this game is going to be on the Nintendo Switch 2, and I think that it kind of has to be on the Nintendo Switch 2. This is probably going to be a 2025, 2026 type of game, and I think that by that time, the Nintendo Switch 2 will have established itself in the Japanese ecosystem. And right now, if you look at the sales in Japan, it's pretty much all Switch driven. So I do think that either you got to have some type of Switch version for this game, or you're probably going to have a Switch 2 version for this game. Otherwise, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, like we saw with Dragon Quest XI, where they had to wait a couple of years, but when they did get that Dragon Quest XI S version out, it sold millions of copies on the Nintendo Switch by itself. So I do think that Square Enix is very cognizant of that, especially the Dragon Quest developers, with how long this game is taking. So we'll see how it all works out, and heck, maybe that's one of the reasons why they're waiting on showing off the game so they can reveal that Switch 2 logo and everything. Remember, one of the first games revealed for the Nintendo Switch was Dragon Quest XI. That was one of the first, if not like the first announced game for the Nintendo Switch. So I do think we could see something very similar here with Dragon Quest XII, The Flames of Fate. Now let's move on to the next game here, and that is Decapolice, which we do have a bunch of information on, and I'll be 1,000,000% with you guys. I am super hyped for this game. This is one of my most anticipated titles because it's a brand new IP from one of the greatest RPG developers of all time with Level 5, and the game has just a super sleek art style, really incredible tight gameplay. You can just see the nice and refined Level 5 style within the gameplay. I've been playing RPGs and have been looking at RPGs for decades now, and I know a quality game when I see it, and it gave me the same quality vibes that I got from Astral Chain when I first saw that game back in 2019. I was like, this is going to be a hit. I have the same feeling about Decapolice. However, the game has went radio silent. We got a teaser trailer at the Nintendo Direct. We got a gameplay introduction, and then that was pretty much it. And look, the year is more than halfway done at this point, and we still have no solid release date when many of the games that are coming out this year have already been dated, many of the big RPGs and games. So let's get into what this game is about and what's happening with it. So, Decism, a virtual world created from a perfect copy of reality, more than just a simulation, it's a complete copy of a real city, a forbidden place where memories of every past crime lie dormant. Clues found in Decism can help unravel the riddles of the real world. Can you guys just imagine that type of world in the future? It almost feels like it could be real in terms of going into people's brains and having a virtual simulation of stuff that they've done, and you've got to piece together everything and how it did to find what happened. I love the premise of this game, and that's why it's so exciting. So let's go ahead and get a little bit more into this game about it. So let's go ahead and jump a little bit more into this about Decapolice. So collect all the evidence to uncover the truth. With the help of Decism, which can reproduce any event occurring in the city, you can find clues to solve cases in the real world, clip the collected evidence to the case board, and find the solution to crack the case. Force may be required to arrest culprits. When confronting a cornered criminal, it can be possible to appeal to their heart and make them surrender. Sometimes, however, they will turn into crime beasts, embodiments of malice and attack. Make use of futuristic gimmicks to incapacitate and arrest them. So once again, that Astral Chain kind of combination between what's going on, you as this futuristic police force, is just super appealing to me, and that's why I'm getting some of those vibes. But this game, for those who don't know, was actually supposed to be a level 5 new successor to Professor Layton, but it ended up being so much different that they just said, let's make it into a new IP and make a brand new Professor Layton game like how people know and love it. Very similar to about 2 decades plus ago about what happened with Devil May Cry and Resident Evil, where Hideki Kamiya was tasked with making a new Resident Evil, and it became so different from what Resident Evil was, they just made it into Devil May Cry and spun off a whole new thing, then did something else with Resident Evil. So I think that there's definitely some parallels here between some of the games that we've seen before in the past. Now, they do go over all the different characters. There are a number of different characters that you can have on your team. The main character, Harvard Marks, I love his character design. Then you have a bunch of other characters too here, which kind of remind me of Persona a little bit with the different styles and kind of what they can do. So I'm very excited to see more about this game. And it still says on the website, coming in 2023, they call it a crime suspense RPG. Very interesting. It's coming to Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, and PlayStation 4. The price is undecided, but it's probably going to be a $60 game, and the rating is pending, and of course, everything is handled by Level 5 internally. Level 5 is back, boys and girls. So when can we hear more about this game? Well, once again, Nintendo Direct possibly in September. This game was first revealed at a Nintendo Direct, so I do think that we could get this game at another Nintendo Direct, or Tokyo Game Show. It has to be at one of those two shows in order for it to make it in 2023, unless it's a super late release. However, I do feel that this game can come out in November and do great on the Nintendo Switch. The only really big game in November is Super Mario RPG, so it can come out early November and get holiday sales and be just fine, or it can come out December if they wanted to do that. I do think that November would be a great release date because most people are probably going to play this game on the Nintendo Switch. Most people are probably going to want to play it on there, especially in Japan. So I do think that November would be great. Put it before Super Mario RPG. Super Mario RPG is on the 17th. You can have this game like a week or two before it and you will be set up good. So looking forward to it. Level 5 are one of the GOATs in the industry and I'm super happy for them to be back. Definitely support Decapolice. I think this game is going to be a very good game. I think it's going to really win over fans, just like Astral Chain won over fans that were skeptical on potentially what this game could be. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and check out our other RPG videos. I went over my top 25 Nintendo Switch games of all time, which has a lot of RPGs on there, in addition to a bunch of cool RPG themed videos on the channel here. Make sure you check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you for the next one. Peace.